I know people say stuff like this all the time, but I swear on everything I love. I've never experienced anything in my life that scared me the way that night did. And if I'm being honest, the part that still keeps me up isn't the danger itself. It's that I almost didn't notice it until it was way too damn close. My name is Rylan. I'm 27. And until this happened, I always thought of myself as a pretty calm, logical guy. I'm not paranoid. I'm not scared of the dark. I'm not the type to assume the worst about strangers. But that night at the 7-Eleven off Briar Ridge just outside Redwood Falls changed all that. Before I get into it, I should explain where my head was at. Because this wasn't one of those I just walked into something creepy situations. This was one of those nights where all the wrong things were already lined up. And I just didn't see it yet. I had just gotten off a late workout at Iron Basin Fitness, the kind of gym that barely has AC and always smells like rubber mats and cheap protein powder. I usually go earlier, but that day I got stuck covering for a coworker. I do HVAC work, mostly repairing busted AC units in older apartments, so the schedule is unpredictable. I was tired, hungry, and honestly a little frustrated because my mom had asked me earlier that day if I could finally pay her back the $100 I'd borrowed during a slow month. She wasn't mad or anything. She never is. But that guilt sits on me. So when I stopped by Green Mart, the grocery store near the gym, I grabbed some basic stuff and used cash back to pull $140 out of my account. $100 for her, $40 for gas. I tucked the money into my wallet, double-checked it like I always do, and headed out to the parking lot. Now here's where my stupidity comes in. Instead of going home, like any normal tired adult would do, I decided to take the long way in my car. I had just bought a used manual transmission Subaru BRZ, and the novelty had not worn off. If anything, it made me look for excuses to drive. So I drove around the quieter side of town for maybe 30-40 minutes, let the windows down, played some old country rock stuff my dad used to blast on weekends, let my brain unwind. Around 11:10 p.m., my gas light flicked on. No biggie, I thought. The 7-Eleven on the edge of Redwood Falls was on the way home anyway, so I turned in, and that's where everything changed. The 7-Eleven sat on the corner of this half-industrial, half-abandoned business strip. A tire shop, a shuttered pet supply place, 2 empty lots. Nothing around that anyone sane would hang out near at night. And at 11 p.m., yeah, empty. When I pulled in, I noticed something odd immediately. Not scary yet, just odd. There was an old bronze Chevy Tahoe parked in the far corner of the unlit lot right next to the gas station. No lights on, no movement, just sitting there like it had been dropped off and forgotten. But I've seen weirder things. People sleep in their cars, people wait for someone, whatever. I parked at Pump 3, got out, swiped my card, and started fueling. It was quiet, the kind of quiet where you can hear the electric hum of the overhead lights. Then, maybe 10 seconds into pumping gas, I saw movement from behind the side wall of the 7-Eleven. A woman stepped into the light, walking straight toward me, and every hair on my arm stood up before my brain could even figure out why. She was maybe mid-30s, thin but not frail, wearing a faded jean jacket and black leggings. Nothing unusual. But she moved with this strange intent, like she already knew exactly where she needed to be. Me. Her hands stayed deep in her pockets. Her head was tilted down slightly, but her eyes locked on me the whole walk. I reached behind me and hit the lock button on my car without even thinking about it. She got within maybe 15 feet and said, in this tired, raspy smoker's voice, "Hey, can you help me? I need a ride. My boyfriend left me here." I swallowed. Sorry? What happened?" She repeated the sentence, word for word, same tone, same rhythm, like she was reading from a damn script. "I'm freezing. Can you drive me to my mom's place? It's not far. Come on, please." She stepped closer. Something felt wrong. Her makeup was smeared. Her lip had a sore on it that the foundation wasn't hiding, and her eyes. Man. They looked hollow. Not sad, not panicked, just empty. I tried to stay polite. I, uh, I gotta finish pumping first. She didn't even answer. She just walked around to the passenger door, tried the handle, and tugged. Unlock it, she said. I'm cold. Cold. At 60 degrees in a jean jacket. Something in my brain screamed, nope. I pulled the pump out early, hung it back, and said, I gotta go inside and pay. Hold up. She stared at me like she was analyzing if I was lying. Then she stepped back. Not far. Just enough to let me walk. Inside, the clerk was a younger guy on his phone, probably watching TikTok. I told him quietly, hey, that woman outside, she's acting weird, keeps trying to get in my car. He barely looked up. Yeah, dude, people hang around here sometimes. I stared at him. You're not gonna call someone? He shrugged. Not unless she steals something. I wanted to curse him out, but I didn't. I just went back outside, and that's when the SUV came to life. The Tahoe's headlights flickered on. Engine rumbled awake. It didn't pull out, didn't drive away, and it just repositioned, inching forward until it sat perfectly lined up with the exit lane. Ready. Waiting. My stomach dropped. The woman was already by my car again when she saw me. She walked toward me quickly. You can open the door now, right? I'm freezing. I've been out here for hours. Her voice sharpened at the end like she was warning me. I shook my head. No. Look, I can't. I'm sorry, I gotta get home. Come on, she said louder. You said you'd help me. I never said that, I snapped. She glanced at the SUV, a quick, nervous flick of her eyes. That was the moment I knew. I wasn't imagining anything. This wasn't some random distressed person. This was bait. I put my hand on my door handle. She stepped closer. You're not leaving, she mumbled, almost like she was talking to herself. It's cold. You're driving me. Nah, I said, raising my voice. Back up, right now. She stepped closer instead, so I shouted, back up, now! She jerked backward like she wasn't expecting that. You better get out of here, she said quickly, voice trembling not with fear, with irritation. She started walking fast, directly toward the SUV. That was it. Fight mode off, flight mode on. I jumped in my car, slammed the door, locked it, and peeled out of the lot so fast my tires squealed. I don't even know if the SUV followed at first. I blew through 2 empty intersections before turning into a random neighborhood and weaving through it like a lunatic. When I checked my rearview mirror, no headlights, no Tahoe, nothing. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the key trying to shut the car off when I finally pulled over. I called 911, told them everything. The dispatcher sighed like this wasn't new. We'll send a car to check, sir, but since no crime was committed, there isn't much. Yeah, I said bitterly. I figured. I hung up. I sat there in the dark for a long moment, trying to breathe normally. Then a single thought hit me. If she had gotten into my car. I wouldn't be here telling this. I drove home, locked every door, sat on my couch and just stared at the floor for a long time. The money in my wallet, the money for my mom, was still there. Thank God. But all I could think about was how close I came to losing something way more important. My life. I was 26 when I first started working at the 7-Eleven off Brookridge Avenue, a small, half-forgotten store sandwiched between a liquor shop and an abandoned laundromat. I took the job out of necessity more than anything. My kids, Jolene and Tyler Rondo, had both started school by then, and every month felt like I was juggling overdue bills and late fees I could never quite outrun. My husband at the time, Cole, worked construction, but winter jobs slowed down and the paychecks got thinner. So I stepped up. I'd never really worked anywhere before, not full-time, not like this, dealing with strangers all day. But the job wasn't bad. Busy enough to make the time pass, quiet enough to keep me sane. The morning shift was usually shared with my manager, Rex, a stocky 50-something guy who drank Diet Dr. Pepper like it was water and told terrible dad jokes. But that Tuesday, he texted me at 6:03 a.m. Morning, kiddo. Sick as hell. Can you handle shift solo? Yeah, I got it, I texted back. I didn't love being alone, but I'd done it before. And honestly, I needed the hours. By 10:15 a.m., the store was steady with traffic. Most of our customers were folks from the 3 warehouses across the road. You could always tell their shifts by the surge of steel-toed boots, reflective vests, and the sound of forklifts beeping from across the lot. Nothing unusual, nothing weird. Until he showed up. A long-haul truck rolled into the side lot, a massive dust-covered freightliner with faded blue paint and no company logo. I remember thinking it looked like a truck that had been driven across the country and back without anyone bothering to wash it even once. The driver stepped out, tall, maybe 6'4", lean but wiry. Beard trimmed but patchy in places like he didn't care too much about appearances. Something about him felt off. Not bad hygiene, not threatening at first glance. Just a kind of quiet, wandering gaze like he was taking mental notes of everything around him. He walked in carrying a giant stainless steel refill mug, the kind of mug truckers practically live out of. Morning, he said, voice low, slightly scratchy. Southern, but I couldn't place where. Arkansas, maybe. Mississippi, somewhere rural. Morning, I replied. Coffee's fresh, just brewed it like 15 minutes ago. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Perfect. He went to fill his mug, humming some tune I didn't recognize. When he walked to the counter, he leaned just a little too close, his elbows resting on the sticky front ledge. That'll be $1.19, I said. He dug into his pockets, pulling out a handful of crumpled bills. You folks always this busy? He asked, eyes flicking toward the warehouse crowd outside. Pretty much, especially on shift changes. That right, he said slowly. He slid the money across the counter almost too softly. Hey, you know how to get to Redfern Packaging from here? Sure, it's like 2 blocks up, then take a left. Big white building with the loading docks facing west. You can't miss it. He nodded like he was memorizing it piece by piece. Appreciate it. A pause. Where's the restroom? Back left corner past the coolers. He didn't move. Instead, he stared at me, that same hollow half-smile on his face. You working alone today? That hit me like a flick to the back of the skull. No stranger needed to know that. No, I said, steadying my voice. My co-worker just stepped out to handle something. He'll be back any minute. Huh, he murmured. Didn't see nobody else's car outside. I shrugged. He walked. He didn't buy it, I could tell. His eyes shifted past me, scanning the store again, lingering on the aisles, the back room door, the tiny hallway behind the counter. But he eventually said, Restroom, right, back corner. Yep. Still, he didn't go. Instead, he leaned on the counter with one forearm and stared at my name tag. Sky. I hate when grown men say my name like that. Slow, like they're tasting it. You from around here? He asked. Born and raised, I answered, keeping my tone neutral. That's so. What's it like? Quiet, I said. Most folks keep to themselves. He smirked again, but this time I saw something sharper in it. Quiet's good, he said. Real good. Only then did he finally walk toward the restroom. Except he stopped halfway, turned around, and asked again. Restrooms where? I pointed. Again. Right. Right, he muttered. But he didn't go in. He wandered the aisles instead, pretending to look at beef jerky, energy shots, and winter gloves. Customers came and went, and each time someone walked through the door, he drifted behind a shelf, peeking around end caps like he didn't want to be seen. Every instinct in my body turned cold. I'd dealt with creeps before, drunk guys, truckers who flirted too much, weird teens shoplifting energy drinks. But this was different. This guy wasn't being annoying. He was waiting, watching, timing something. I kept my face neutral, but my heart was practically thudding out of my chest. Then the bell above the door dinged and someone walked in who saved my life without even knowing it at first. A warehouse guy, wearing an orange vest, covered in dust, Looked exhausted, probably on break. He grabbed a Gatorade and a pack of gum. His name, I later learned, was Paxton. When he walked up to the counter, I felt something desperate rise inside me. "Hey," I said too brightly. "How's it going?" He blinked at me. Good. You okay?" I widened my eyes in a really obvious silent plea, but he didn't get it. Not until he glanced toward aisle 3 and saw the trucker duck his head behind the chips. Paxton looked back at me. I mouthed, "Help me." His expression changed instantly. He set the Gatorade down, stepped back, cracked his neck, and walked right around the chip aisle. I lost sight of him, but I heard the impact. A heavy thud. Followed by Paxton shouting, "Hey! The lady said you need to get the hell out of here!" Then a crash. The sound of someone slamming into the cooler door so hard the bottles inside rattled. The trucker bolted, sprinting through the front door so fast it smacked the wall. He leaped into his truck, engine roaring like a beast, and tore out of the lot, tires squealing. My hands were shaking violently as Paxton came back around the aisle. "You good?" he asked. His voice wasn't gentle, more urgent, protective. "No," I whispered. "No, I'm not okay." "Call 911, he said. "I'll stay right here." And he did. Stayed right next to me the whole time as I made the call, voice trembling so hard I could barely spell my own name. The cops arrived fast. I gave them everything I could remember. The truck, the mug, the clothes, the unsettling smile, the way he kept asking if I was alone. Paxton gave his statement too. A co-worker of mine, Jenna, rushed over to take the rest of my shift. I stepped outside to breathe, shaking like my body didn't know it was safe yet. An hour later, one of the officers returned. He walked in with a face that told me everything before he said a word. "We caught him," the cop said, removing his sunglasses. "He was speeding on the interstate heading out of town." My stomach dropped, but then the officer said something that made my skin crawl. He never went to Redfern Packaging. The trailer was empty, meaning he lied about the delivery. I felt my throat close up. "And that's not all," the officer continued. "He had a stolen pistol under the seat, stolen out of Alabama, and he's a registered offender, recently released. He's wanted in Missouri for violating parole." The store felt suddenly too small, too bright, too cold. I thought about every minute he spent walking around the aisles, pretending not to know where the restroom was, asking if I was alone, watching me, waiting. Waiting for what? The officer didn't say it, but I knew. If Paxton hadn't walked in at that exact moment. I don't let my brain finish the sentence. The cop left. Paxton stopped by before going back to work just to check on me. I hugged him without thinking. That night I held my kids so tight they complained. But I didn't care. I never worked another solo shift again. And to this day, whenever I see a long-haul truck pull into a quiet store's parking lot, my heart stutters. Because I know now, some people aren't stopping for coffee. They're stopping for opportunity, and sometimes they're waiting for the moment you're finally, helplessly, alone. I've never been the kind of person who scares easy. Growing up in rural Montana teaches you that strange noises, dark highways, and weird loners exist everywhere. But nothing prepared me for what happened that night, on a lonely road outside a town I had never even heard of before. My name's Rylan Cole. I'm 29 now, but this happened when I was 25, right after I moved to Colorado for work. A few months after settling in, my dad called and told me my mom was going in for a minor surgery. Nothing dangerous, but I wanted to be there. My folks lived 7.5 hours away, and I figured if I left after work and grabbed a couple of coffees along the way, I'd make it by midnight. It was supposed to be routine. Just a solo drive, just like I'd done twice before. But that night turned into something else, something I still don't like talking about. I left work around 4:30 p.m., 2 hours early, feeling good about the jump start. I grabbed a burger, filled my tank, queued up a playlist, and hit the interstate. The first few hours passed easy. Wide open road, sun setting behind the mountains. That kind of peaceful vibe you only get when you're alone with long road ahead. But around 9 p.m. the fatigue hit me hard. My eyes felt heavy, my shoulders tight. That sluggish, slow blink exhaustion. And of course, my fuel gauge slipped down close to empty. Damn it, I muttered. Perfect timing. I took the next exit toward a small service road with nothing but farmland on both sides. After maybe a mile, I spotted a 7-Eleven sitting alone under a buzzing fluorescent sign. You know those stores that look clean in the daytime but creepy as hell at night? Yeah. This was one of those. I pulled up to pump 3. Nobody else was around. Not on the lot, not on the road. Right as I stepped out, I saw him. A guy standing near the side of the building, half hidden by the large metal ice coolers. He wasn't smoking. He wasn't on the phone. He wasn't waiting for a ride. He was just standing there. Motionless, facing my direction, eyes locked on me. He looked mid-40s, long hair tied back, baggy carpentry pants, dark hoodie. His face was stiff, almost blank. I tried not to stare. People hang around gas stations all the time. Maybe he worked there. Maybe he was picking someone up. But something about him cracked my nerves. He didn't look cold. He didn't look bored. He looked intentional, like he was watching. I finished fueling fast, then started toward the store. When I walked past that side of the building, I didn't look directly at him, but I could feel, literally feel, his eyes shift and follow me. Inside, the air smelled like burnt taquitos and freezer coolant. The cashier, a short woman with tired eyes, didn't even look up. I grabbed a Monster from the fridge and walked to the counter. "Long night, huh?" I said, trying to sound casual. She scanned the can and sighed. "I'm out of here in 20 minutes, thank God." "Quiet night?" "Too quiet," she muttered. "I hate when it's this dead." Dead. The word stuck with me. I tapped my card and took the drink. Before leaving, I hesitated. "Hey, that guy outside on the side of the building, he one of your regulars?" She frowned. "What guy?" "He's right out by the ice coolers." She leaned to the side to see through the window. "I don't see anyone." "Well, he was there a minute ago." "Probably some drifter," she said. "We get them sometimes." But she didn't sound sure. I walked back out, drink in hand, scanning the shadows. The man wasn't by the coolers anymore, but then, as I reached my car door, I saw him again. He was walking toward me, fast. Like he had already been halfway across the lot before I even noticed. My stomach dropped. This wasn't some casual stroll. He was headed straight for me with purpose. I jumped into my car and locked the door. He was maybe 30 feet away, then 25, then 20. His pace got quicker, almost a run. "Hell no," I whispered, starting the engine. My headlights hit him just long enough for me to see his face clearly. Blank, emotionless, like someone wearing a mask of skin. I floored it backward, swung around, and shot out of the lot. In the mirror, I saw the man pivot and sprint full speed toward the back of the lot, toward an old cranberry-colored sedan parked under a dead streetlight. I turned onto the service road, heart hammering, hands shaking. "Don't follow, don't follow, don't fall." Headlights appeared in the mirror, same old red sedan, engine roaring, closing in fast. Shit! I merged back onto the interstate, hoping speed and traffic would lose him. But he matched everything I did. If I changed lanes, he changed lanes. If I slowed down, he slowed down. If I sped up, he crawled right onto my bumper. Not tailgating, hunting. I tried calling 911, but the signal kept dropping. Dead zone, of course. Come on, I yelled at my phone. "Stay connected." No luck. The road was eerily empty for a Friday night. A truck or two passed occasionally, but nothing that stayed near me long enough to help. The guy didn't try to ram me or force me off. No hand gestures, no headlights flashing. He just stayed there, one car length behind me, precise, unwavering, like he had practiced this. I spotted an exit sign I didn't recognize, Stonebrook Ridge, and made a split-second decision. I turned off sharply, nearly clipping the guardrail. He followed instantly, no hesitation. I took another random turn. He followed, A third. He stayed on me. My breathing got shallow. What the hell do you want? I drove through a small town. Quiet, dim streetlights, closed diners, old brick buildings, American flags on poles. The kind of place that looked safe but felt ghostly at night. Every corner I took, every stop sign I rolled through, he kept coming. His headlights never left my rearview mirror. After almost 10 minutes of trying to lose him, my mind was spinning. Then I saw it. A small building with a bright blue sign glowing above it. Stonebrook Police Department. I didn't think, didn't hesitate. I put on my turn signal and pulled into the lot. At first, the red sedan signaled as well. For one horrifying second, I thought he was going to follow me in. But at the last moment, he jerked his wheel, sped past the entrance, and disappeared down the road. Just tore off into the darkness like nothing happened. I sat there, shaking, hands tight on the wheel. An officer walking out of the building noticed me. "You okay there?" he called out. I stepped out, legs wobbling. "Sir," I said, voice cracking, "someone just followed me from the highway. I think he was trying to... I don't know. But he chased me for miles." The officer frowned. "Start from the top." I told him everything, every detail. The guy near the coolers, the aggressive walk, the car, the perfect following distance, all of it. He listened, arms crossed, jaw tight. "We'll check the cameras at that 7-Eleven, and I'll radio the highway units. But you did the right thing coming here." "Why would someone do that?" I asked. His answer was simple. Some people don't need a reason. After 20 minutes of paperwork and reassurance, the officer told me I was free to go. He offered to have a patrol follow me to the interstate, but I said I'd be fine. I wasn't fine. Every car behind me made my chest tighten. Every shadow felt like a trap. Every headlight in the distance. I expected them to swing in behind me, but nobody did. I made it home around midnight. My mom hugged me like nothing was wrong. My dad asked if I'd hit traffic. I didn't tell them. Didn't want to freak them out. But that night, lying in my old childhood room, I couldn't stop thinking. What if I hadn't pulled into that police station? What did that man want? Why follow a random stranger across miles of empty road? Why stop only when I reached the police? I still have no answers. Sometimes on late drives, I still check my mirror, expecting to see old red headlights hugging my bumper. But I never saw that man or that car again, and I hope to God I never do.